I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Page County School Board. Mr. Gubler.
Yes.
Ms. Alger. Yeah. Mr. Paper.
Yes.
Ms. Gordon. Yes. Dr. Painter and Ms. Owens are absent. Please pause for a minute of silence as we prepare for the meeting tonight. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Fox, do you have any agenda changes or additions?
I do not.
Have a motion to approve the agenda? I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Alger and a second by Mr. Painter to approve the agenda. Ms. Alger. Yes. Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Gubler.
Yes.
Ms. Gordon. Yes.
I make a motion that we call for a motion for a roll call vote to certify personnel matters discussed in closed meeting section 2.2-3711A1.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Gubler and a second by Mr. Painter to certify personnel matters discussed in closed session. Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Gubler.
Yes.
Ms. Alger. Yes. Ms. Gordon. Yes. Citizen comment?
Yes, we have four.
Wait, I'm going to read this statement real quick. We also do have online submissions for citizen comment. The Page County School Board welcomes citizen comment during regular meetings. School board members do not respond to public comment during a meeting. All comments should address a matter related to Page County Public Schools. The school board will not hear public comment that involves an individual student-related matter, the disclosure of which would violate applicable confidentiality requirements. The school board expects that each speaker will be courteous, modeling for our students how one can respectfully agree or disagree with others' views. Speakers will address their comments to the entire board and not to one individual board member, nor to the superintendent, a staff member, or the audience. Speakers will have 3 minutes to present their comments from the podium.
Dara Hartwell. Great. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to start by saying thank you for your time. My name is Adara Hargrave. I'm a parent to 3 children that attend Shenandoah Elementary. I want to start by saying this: we as parents need stability for these children. That Mr. Harlow is that stability for these children. Some children don't have that person to rely on at home. Mr. Harlow is that person they rely on at school. I also want to say that Mr. Harlow goes above and beyond for every student and staff member. Mr. Harlow has made a great impact on this community, for our school, as well as for students. He has done things teaching children sign language, Friday dance parties to keep their spirits up, the SOL camp, which my child did great, and she ended up passing both of her SOLs because of this last year. I also want to say the Courtyard Project, the fundraising he does, it's wonderful. I want to say that since 2018, my child has been at Shenandoah Elementary, one of them, and they have not had a consistent principal since. That him being there the last 2 years has been absolutely phenomenal. That it's not about finding a person when it comes to a job for a principal. It's about finding who fits in that role. And Corey Harlow, Mr. Corey Harlow, fits that for those children. I want to say Mr. Harlow makes sure that parents are informed about events by emails, texts, videos, like all the new standards that have changed, like the bullying. What is the standard of bullying? That was all addressed before school even started this year. Mr. Harlow is the person for Shenandoah Elementary. He sets this tone with everyone. He can make it fun, but he also lets them know that it's time to learn and it's time to grow in the process. Shenandoah Elementary needs him back so that we can be proud to be an Indian. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, everybody. I spoke here 2 weeks ago, and I'm here just to do a reminder. It's been 1 month that our school has been without Mr. Harlow. 1 month that these kids have seen multiple adult faces filling his position. The inconsistency within our school, it is heartbreaking. On top of everything from last year, and then it's like it's following into this year. Something has got to give within our school. We've really, truly had a good thing going. If you just sat outside the school and hear the comment, and if you were a parent of a child at our school and got to experience what us other parents experience compared to what we've experienced in the past, y'all would see where we are coming from and how bad we truly do respect Mr. Harlow. He loves these kids. He has gone above and beyond for these kids. And y'all know, out of all the years, there has never been a principal that has done the things that Mr. Harlow has done. He has not just been suit and tie sitting behind a desk. He has been out in the dirt. He's been gardening, landscaping, you name it. He's done it for these kids to make it a better place. But here we are 1 month out, and our school is still hurting. I get it. Rumors are rumors, but you can't always believe every rumor there is, especially from certain people. If you did, this county would be nothing because of rumors. If everybody wants to follow guidelines due to rumors, you can't go by that. Honestly, please take the time and hear us parents how bad we're hurting at our school for Mr. Harlow to be returned so our kids can get back on track. My kid, it's a fight in the morning right now to get him in the door. It is a true fight because his mentor in his eyes in the morning, he's not there because my child's not allowed in the bus run because he has so many special needs. But his special person in the morning is Mr. Harlow because Mr. Harlow makes sure he's safe. He's not going to get in trouble. He's not going to get ran over by the other kids in different areas. He truly has the school and these kids at the best interest, and I can back him 100%. And I don't want to remove my kid from the school system and take him elsewhere where there is a system. Y'all have a good evening.
Clarissa Meadows.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name's Clarissa Meadows. I'm the mother of a first grader at Shenandoah Elementary, and my 7th grader also attended Shenandoah Elementary as well. While my oldest was at Shenandoah Elementary, it's a well-known fact that we went through quite a few different principals, but none ever stuck out until Mrs. Heingardner and Mr. Harlow were the principal and vice principal. As a member of the PTO, it was great to have the involvement of a vice principal to not only help plan activities, but helping at the activities as well. While we loved them as a team, when Miss Heingardner left, there wasn't a single person that I spoke to that didn't want Corey Harlow to become the next principal of Shenandoah Elementary. So many talks of plans of improvement for the school had been had, and many of the parents felt he would be the one to carry through with putting it all into motion. When Mr. Harlow became the principal, the faculty and the parents that I know all raved about how he was turning the school around and how our little school finally had someone who was there for our children and was not just there as a stepping stone for the next thing that came their way. Not only is he improving the facility itself, he's making a difference in these kids' lives by showing them that they matter. They deserve more than what they've gotten in the past. Mr. Harlow has sparked the interest of the community to get involved with the school. It seems so many want to be involved with making the school better because they see the school leadership wanting to do the same. My first grader, Wade, misses his principal. He misses his friendly greetings and the talks during lunch. And not only Wade, but friends of mine that are faculty miss their bubbly personality that makes their day just a little bit brighter at work. Thank you for your time.
Jordan Cho.
No house, I've been able to come see y'all. Good evening. Thanks for having me. Actually, commenting about this. I actually read some of the agenda stuff from the evening and have a few comments about that. Particularly with the bullying stuff that is going on, like the stop it at, most of these are rhetorical questions. I know you can't answer me directly, but things to consider. How accessible is that for disabled students and parents? What are we kind of putting in place to, protect our disabled students or those that have cognitive challenges who may not even recognize what bullying is? How are we letting them know that it is safe for them to come up and ask these kinds of questions without even being, ridiculed? How are they being equipped and empowered? And that made me think of a quote from Dr. Ross Green, and it says, "When people are rushed, they're stressed, and greatly increase the likelihood of being punitive and unilateral just because you're trying to grasp control." Okay? And what that made me think of in relation to this is, what discussions are we having with staff? Because we know everybody is completely stressed out, right? Teachers are stressed, admin is stressed, parents are stressed, students are stressed. What are we doing to make sure that even inadvertently, a stressed out staff member that a student is going to talk to about bullying, what discussions are we having so that they know when they're crossing that line when just trying to keep comportment versus them accidentally toeing over to where they are bullying just because they're trying so hard to get that control themselves. So these are rhetorical questions just for the board to kind of consider as we move forward with the bullying. I also noticed on the transportation, I know our transportation costs, we can't afford all the transportation that these students have. I understand that. One solution I would ask the board to consider is, particularly for students that receive special transportation, that one option that some school divisions do is that they will reimburse the parent, if they are willing, the mileage rate to transport the child to and from school themselves. Reduces wear and tear on the school buses, reduces maintenance need on the school buses, and possibly also reduces some delays with needing substitutes. The final thing that I want to talk about, actually one more thing. I mentioned this before. The SEAC stuff is still completely buried on the website. It is supposed to be primarily parents as the majority on that committee. You still have to email Ms. Baker to find out when the meetings are. There is no way for a parent to know there's a meeting coming up that fits in my schedule. That defeats the purpose of SEAC. It doesn't allow the parents to have participation. And then the last thing I just want to bring to the board's mind, because it's a very relevant issue. Remind people we're in the same superintendent's region as Fairfax County Public Schools and Loudoun County Public Schools. I am not sure how aware our board is that Fairfax County Public Schools is in trouble with the Office of Civil Rights. Thank you.
Consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Supervisor Bugler, and a second by Ms. Alger to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Payton? Yes.
Mr. Bugler.
Yes.
Ms. Alger. Yeah. Ms. Ford.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the
They're
Second.
under consent agenda.
No, we can see it.
They're under consent.
All along.
Yeah, all those are together. So we're good. Yeah. The minutes, the September minutes are posted for review. Each, you guys ready? Izzy and Sebastian. I believe we have some school board updates. Yep, you guys are up.
I know, it's a little spooky. I won't be here, probably for the next 2 meetings, so I'm just giving some fun little October vibes, I thought that it would be very nice. And then, welcome
Homecoming was an overwhelming success at Leroy High School this year. The seniors won hallway decorating, and this is their hallway. I know a couple of you all actually got to see and vote on that. Everyone was so nervous. Everyone was sitting there. They were like so anxious. They were like, "Oh my goodness, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win?" But it was wonderful. And these are just some of the other hallways for those of you who didn't see it. I tried to incorporate the best of the freshman and the sophomore hallways just because we couldn't really get a clear picture of them for some reason before they went and ripped it all down. But it was still wonderful. And so there are so many activities happening right now at Leroy High School, but obviously homecoming was the biggest one that we've had right now. That was just like this past weekend or so. The SCA planned a wonderful homecoming. This was one of the best homecomings that I have been to at Leroy High School, and I've been to them all since 10th grade. So that was really fun to see. We actually had our first Hokonanza, which the name sounds a little weird. I didn't come up with it, I swear. It was a really nice volleyball game where all of the girls' volleyball team coached other teams of like sports teams. So we had a football team, a teacher team, like a golf team. It was a lot of fun. The entry fee was like 1 or 2 canned food items. Obviously, if you couldn't bring anything in, you were still allowed entry. But it was wonderful because we raised a bunch of canned food items for our local care closet, along with Page One, which I thought was really cool, and then our pep rally. You may have seen some videos of it on the Leroy High School Facebook. It was a lot of fun. There was a very nice balloon pop game. Everyone liked Hungry Hungry Hippos. It was really exciting. And these are just some photos from the pep rally and a couple from homecoming, because why not? Oh, goodness. Highlights. Well, congrats to our concert band, our marching band, for taking home 3rd place at James Madison University's their Parade of Champions. Like, just a little bit ago. I'm honestly not sure what that date was. And then I want to say it was a couple weeks ago, our golf team, for the first time in many years, actually made it to states. So congrats to them as well. And then, of course, congratulations are in order for all other sports teams at Leroy High School. I learned from my mistakes. This time I didn't put like every single thing. It was too much. I couldn't say it all. But we are also celebrating those of us who got academic awards at the academic meeting with Bars and Letters just a couple weeks ago. Okay. This is pretty much just an upcoming event we have. This is the trunk or treat. This year, as of right now, Leroy High School is not hosting their own trunk or treat. The National Honor Society at Leroy High School will be going to Leroy Middle School and Leroy Elementary School trunk or treat to help them out as a part of our community service project.
Thank you. That's very good.
All right. As you may see, mine is not quite as nice as
Okay.
hers here, but this is all the stuff we have going on at Page County High School right now. Right now, it is currently Anti-Bullying Month, and Kale, he says a quote over the announcements every single day, with kind of like an empowering, like be good quote. The juniors are selling their pizza kits to pay for their prom tickets. The SCA members for the student council they've been nominated and picked from every class, and then of course we have the president, vice president, and all that. We have a coin war fundraising. The winner of it, the class is going to get pizza and stuff, and the all of the money that's raised is going to go to Page One. PCHS is also going to have their trunk or treat on October 28th. Writing PBAs are also coming up. That's always fun. And then we're having the Red Ribbon Week for drug awareness coming up, and that's we'll have different dress up days and stuff for that. The FFA is their Food for America coming up on October 20th. That's where the kids from Stanley and Shenandoah Elementary come up, and we have animals up there, and we make cider, and we have a bunch of different stuff that we do and show them and try to get them interested in agriculture. We had a corn harvest and sales to Page County Public School Nutritional Services. That was a big success. Our officers, we all went for leadership training, and they kind of, they were talking to us about corresponding with other people in our same positions at other schools, which is very nice. We had a tailgate. We all kind of stayed up at the high school, and we ate afterwards, and we walked down to the football game and watched it afterwards, and it was just a good time and fun. PCHS, FFA members, they showed livestock at the fair. And then they're having a hay bale decorating contest for the Virginia Farm Bureau. FCCLA activities, College Day at Virginia Tech. They're going to go up there and I believe talk about different careers and stuff and tour the campus. They have Reads Across America coming up, which is an excellent fundraiser. They raise money. I used to do it, go around to businesses and stuff, and people are always happy to give to it. It's where they go and they put the wreaths on the graves at Arlington National Cemetery. They had Capital Leadership. I believe that they were also talking with other people about leadership roles and stuff. And then they had their competitions at the state fair. And then FBLA activities is the Halloween basket raffle. They have a big raffle. The members of it bring in candy bars and they raise money. And they raffle them off. And they have a pretzel fundraiser too, which they sell pretzels and the money goes back into the FBLA.
Awesome. Thank you. There is a ton going on everywhere. Monthly financials with Secrets, and good luck following.
Mine's not very exciting at all compared to either one of those. So I hope it's not spooky. You all have been provided with the monthly financials for September. For operating expenditures and revenue were $3,646,482.69. Along with that, you've been given the local match calculation that we did balance with the treasurer's office. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer those.
Thank you.
Ms. Marston and Mr. Runyon, bullying prevention programs?
Yeah. We're going to have to do a slide.
Board members, Dr. Fox, we are here tonight, Ms. Marston and I, to talk about our bullying prevention activities and programs that go on this month of October as well as all year long.
So first, we like to honor the definition of what is bullying. And so we work with our students in all grade levels to talk about what it actually means, where you find it. Bullying can occur in multiple ways. It can be verbal, physical. It can be social exclusion. It can be through digital sources like email, text, or social media. And unlike teasing or fighting, bullying occurs when one person or a group of people is perceived as being more powerful, and then they take advantage of that power, and then they dominate. Bullying does not include ordinary teasing, horseplay, arguments, or pure conflicts. And so we work really hard, especially at the elementary level, educating students about what it is and what to do with that. We'll talk more about that.
All right, this year we used to have the Stop It app. It came back again this year, so this is a good source for students to report anonymously. It goes to the administrators and school counselors, I believe, so that they know something's been reported, and then they can also chat back and forth with the person who has made the report to determine what's going on. So this is more than just used for bullying. There's a lot of different things that get reported in here, and then the administrators check it out, and law enforcement gets involved should we need them.
It's also available for crisis counseling. Students can call that, do that app, and if they need help right then, they can get that help. There's crisis counselors 24/7 on that app, and they can have that at any time. So they are able to connect there.
And this app is on every student's Chromebook, so they can access it from there at any time.
So we have a lot of initiatives division-wide that are going on, not just in October, throughout the school year. So what do those kind of look like? Our biggest is, of course, to give information. And we do that in a variety of ways. We hold our school counselors do guidance lessons, K-12, about that, what it looks like, how not to be a part of that. The new word, I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was. To be this, not a bystander, but an upstander. And so that was interesting. Talks to the kids about how don't stand on the sidelines, to be a part of it. The big thing for us is to help students find their own, especially at the elementary level, to find their voice, and that they have rights, and that they need to say, I don't like that, stop. And any student has the right to say that, but anybody else, and how they can do that. We do more every day. We have a morning meeting with our students. We look at, they talk to their teachers, they talk to their classmates. There's usually a topic that's concerned that they address. They do that actually across all grade levels now. We've implemented that into middle and to high school so that they have a person that they know. Well, at the high school, they keep the same advisor all 4 years so that there's continuity and knowing their staff person and knowing their teachers, and you have that relationship competency. One thing we did find was that they really talk about that we shouldn't label it. So maybe they are the person being bullied. That's a verb. I'm being bullied. I'm not a victim. I have to have a voice. So what do I do now that this has happened? Versus labeling somebody a victim, and sometimes that gives us that helplessness. And then we're victims always. So how do we not? How do we help each other get from there? And the same is true as well. I was bullied somebody instead of I am bullied. Because again, it's defining a child, and then sometimes those things will stick forever. And that's not what we want kids to be. We want them to learn from mistakes.
And we try to really work with educating those who are doing the bullying on why that is and how not to. So there's a lot of individual counseling at the middle and high school level. I think elementary as well. We'll do some restorative justice as long as all parties are ready to sit down and talk and mend fences and work through it. So, and this is ongoing all year long.
Our school counselors, I know at middle and elementary, provide counseling newsletters to parents with information, with how to help your student through situation, resources, all those things. But, and lots of them have this month is Bully Awareness Month, and they have activities that are going to go on and kind of in coordination with Red Ribbon Week, which also falls in October. Lots of things fall in October. So they're trying to do that so that we're not so many activities of those going on. So and what the other thing that they do is we have a check-in, check-out. Students, either the student that's being delivered or the student that has an individual at the school that they know that's who I need to be with. We're not and then we do either the afternoon where you go to class, where you're all good and food fine, and you check it goes both ways.
And probably bullying, as a former high school principal, I can talk about, is one of the hardest things for principals, administrators to deal with. There's a lot of investigating, because just because someone says, so-and-so said this to me, you've got to investigate. Were there witnesses? You kind of get statements, and you comb through all that. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and I know a lot of people say nothing ever gets done. There is a lot being done, and also when discipline is handed out, obviously you cannot tell another parent what that discipline was if it's not their child. So the principals, administrator, they're doing a lot behind the scenes. And then there's the, like she said, the check-in, check-out. I dealt with this last week. How's it going? Everything's still good with you? And because kids may not come back and tell you. And if they don't tell you, you think as administrator, everything's good. But sometimes you got to ask questions because maybe it's not. And social media is our friend at the all levels. Secondary level, we spend a lot of time with this also. Go back when we were in school, we were teased or bullied. You went home and that was it because no one had cell phones. So it didn't. You got a little break from it, a little reprieve. Now it just continues on with text messages, Snap, and whatever else is out there. But social media, a lot of what happens outside of school and it gets brought into the school, and then the administrators have to deal with it, especially if it's causing a disturbance to the school day. And that's sometimes hard for people to understand. Well, this happened outside of school. Why they get in trouble with the school? Well, if it's caused a disturbance, then it's going to happen. The consequences will be brought down on everyone. So the social media piece adds a lot to what's going on. And that makes it very difficult right now.
And I will say, even elementary students are very much involved in social media. Their parent calls and say, on a Snapchat war last night. Okay, so they called us 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we went to death with that all night for the next avoiding up. But that is the way that we develop. Even young kids have social media, and they're using it. Hopefully educating students about that and better ways on the screen. So October 18th is Unity Day, and that is a national event. It is not even the United States. It's actually international. And you're supposed to wear orange and unite for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. Send a visible message that no child should ever see. So we ask you to join with our school and our staffs to wear orange on the 18th.
And then kindness matters. That is really the big theme this month with all of our schools. When the principals reported to us what they were doing, a lot of them are doing kindness, making statements and the morning announcements about kindness. These are some of the displays that are up in our school about kindness. Just talking about being kind, BBI and kind. So they're reinforcing that all month long and all year long.
So we do have a case of bullying. Is there kind of a set protocol, because I'm thinking, okay, prevention, but then response as well. Do we have a set procedure the steps that you take, or is it kind of a case by case?
We have 24 hours to notify both parents of of all the, if there's a large group, it's everybody that's involved in it. And then the investigation begins. Sometimes it's really simple. Sometimes it's 2 students and get those statements and you go from there. Other times it involves substitutes kids and cell phones and finding out who posted what when, and it takes time.
You might need to view camera footage in the building if it happened there. So it could be a short resolution or it could take a while.
So in the cases where it is investigated, let's say there's really no evidence for that kid, it's still, whether it happened or not, they're still feeling the impacts. Are we still offering intervention and support to them as if it were to be?
Absolutely, because it's about perception. And so again, it's hopefully that we're helping them perceive, okay, you feel this way, it's okay to feel this way, how are we going to help you do that? And identify it.
And that's where a lot of the check-in, check-out comes in with the school counselors. Or it might be a mentor in the building that they're comfortable with.
Got a couple more.
Yep.
So do we find that a lot of the kids are using the Stop It app?
I don't have that data.
I don't have the data.
Last month, we reported there were 17. I would say there's probably been maybe another
5 or 6 since our last board meeting. So I would say we get maybe, yeah.
But it might fit on some days,
Yeah.
2 to 3 a day, and you might go a couple days with them. And not all of them are about bullying. That's right. Some of them are about, we're afraid for a friend who we think is in crisis and we need somebody to intervene with them or different things like that. But it's not all about.
And they're trained on how to use it, how to go through it, and all the options that it offers for that.
Yeah, yeah, and there's, in each building, the code is on the, up displayed everywhere.
Okay.
It's like everywhere. You can literally walk from the QR code and I think it's scan the QR code. But again, all their devices have it as well.
Is that anonymous or?
And my last question, and it's kind of a question, but more of just a point or a statement. We're talking about kindness, right? We put the things up, but are we incentivizing that? You know, how are we incentivizing, rewarding when you are kind? Because yes, we can have the consequence when you're not, but if we incentivize that, I think there might be more of a desire to be kind.
Each school has an incentive plan. We did have the kindness ninja at the elementary level come in and made the kids declare they were going to do so many acts of kindness, and then there's a count, and you get points for your count. So yes, there's action behind the words, and really definitions about what an act of kindness is versus polite, but there's difference. And so helping students understand and how to be not only kind to the student in your classroom, but kind to your school and to your community and all that. Which is something a lot of the sensitive effectiveness. Acknowledge you have an enrollment and you see. Right. Think about the faculty, the door open, those kinds of things. Well, and I will say that like we're very clear about thank you for picking up that trash. That's really kind of them to do that. Thank you for helping Mr. Bell into the room. Thank you for helping carry books, or a student that's on crutches. Thank you so much for walking with Mr. Runyon to class today. Because we want to be clear about what it is so that they then know that that's what it means. That's what kind of is. That's what that looks like, so that then we repeat it.
I would like to see, it doesn't even have to be in a meeting, but it's just kind of the materials that we're using for specifically the divisions that are doing the bullying. So, what is their education, or what is the intervention process? Yes, there's the consequence, but is there something to actually continue to teach them of this is the impact you're having on someone's life?
Right. VDOB offers, we have a large source of that. Ms. Owen shared it with the principals at the last meeting, or our last principal's meeting. So I'm sure we can get you that. But there's
In our SEL programs, Second Step and Wayfinder, they have a lot of lessons in there that deal with that, I do believe, and work to educate those who are doing the bullying as well.
Thank you.
I got a couple of questions. So I've been approached by folks, and what the comments been, you have a bullying issue in your school. And there are times that I get specifics about it. There's times I don't. And this is just a comment to all the administrators and folks that report. Don't worry about what your school might look like if you're reporting incident, right? Because that's the only way you deal with, you can fix some problems if you know about it. And I think that when some administrators, I think, maybe feel that pressure, I would understand it. I'm not very secure in what I'm doing right now in some areas. Things are weak. I may underreport it or just dismiss it. I think that's a message that you two guys, ladies, you would be able to directly affect it because it's your voice managing that group. So I just encourage you on that. Secondly, this is a matter of intelligence, like CIA intelligence. there's a channel where fights are uploaded. I don't know if everybody knows that. Because if there's ever an issue of bullying or a fight, I know certain people I can go talk to and know they can get it somehow. And somewhere we got to be able to get smart enough to access that thing to know what's going on. I just leave it at that. And I think there's also another channel for some bullying also as well as Snapchat. That's kind of a big thing right now, which those things disappear pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right. It's a good way to hide things. So just those two things there. I think there's higher level stuff that, and I get you don't want to report negativity things in your school. I get that, I understand. But that's the only way you solve problems is to know what they are. And you guys can't do it either. You know, get anything. That's two comments I've got.
I've got one more. So for our students, and not to put you all on the spot, and if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. But what have you all not experienced, but witnessed I guess, how should I say this? What's the frequency, if any, that you all are witnessing bullying in your schools? And do you believe that these things are helping? You don't want to. We can talk about it offline.
You guys do it no better than anybody else here, actually.
I think there's been a great improvement this year since last year. At Pages High School. Last year, I mean, there was fights all the time early on in the year. And they took away half of our lunch for a week. And, you know, I think for a lot of people, it may have not been the anti-bullying videos. It might have been, hey, we've got to get our act together. Or, you know, it's going to be like this the rest of the year. Then, I mean, really, towards the end of last year and this year, I think there's been a big decline. Because I know the first semester of last year was fights all the time, harassment for students. But I really think Paige has improved on that in the last year and a half.
And I was going to say, during this program, I've definitely seen some improvement with like harassment and stuff. We weren't really a big like fight school. We would have like 2 or 3 maybe like in a couple months. So we were never really big on that, but we did have a big bullying, harassment problem. But I can definitely say that it has been going down this year. And so we're always excited to see that. I'm not sure if it's the SEL activities or what it is, but I definitely am very glad that we're improving that.
Advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Dr. John, Human Resources and Business Operations.
Yes, good evening, members of the school board. Tonight, I wanted to share with you some initiatives and some updates specifically regarding transportation, and then human resources, and finally, safety and security. Mr. Painter, 2 weeks ago, mentioned the detailed fleet lists and records that we keep, and rather than bog you down with a list of 100 vehicles and mileage and such, I thought it would be helpful to give you a little bit of a synopsis. And so you can see currently we have 58 buses that are on the road regularly. 49 of those ride a route every day. We have 8 older buses that we use for sub buses. So if something happens or we have more than we can handle on away trips in the evenings and we need to put a sub bus on a route, we'll do that. And then food service has the bus that's refrigerated and they do the summer meals and so on with that. Additionally, we maintain 3 buses over at the bus garage that are currently strictly for parks. And we have 2 that we call it inactive. They're older buses. We likely will end up selling those before they would be used again, but currently they're kind of in a hold mode. They're aging, got a lot of miles on them, but they are there. If something strange happened and we needed the bus, they are functional and safe. I really wanted to share the right column, the purchasing history, because I think as we go into budget season, this is an important fact to make. You can see Post-COVID, since 2021, we've been able to purchase 5 buses. Pre-COVID, those couple of years, 17 and 18, we purchased 8. But if you look back between basically 2000 and 2016, our purchasing frequency was much higher. 14 buses there between 2010 and 2016, 13 buses between 05 and 09, and 11 between 2000 and 2004. I bring this up just to say it's very, very important at budget time that we get back into a cycle of 2 to 3 buses a year. And here's the challenge. When you order a bus, you have to order it a year in advance. You can't order a bus and have it in 2 weeks. We were very, very fortunate with the special ed bus that we purchased a month or so ago. Sometimes other divisions will order them a year out, something will happen and they won't follow through. And they're such a hot commodity. The companies make them because they know all they've got to do is pull the stencil off the side and change the name. And, you know, they have buyers. But the Department of Education, sort of their guideline or recommendation, they like to see school divisions using buses that are really no older than about 7 to 10 years. And certainly we are using buses. We're getting a lot more out of that. That's a big credit to our mechanical department. The buses are in good shape. They're well maintained. Yes, they're getting older, and yes, some of them have quite a few miles on them. If you see at the bottom there, we've got 10 buses that exceed 186,000 miles that we're using daily. But they are very functional. They are safe. They are well maintained. But divisions that maybe have a little bit more stability in finance world probably don't have quite that number of buses with that kind of mileage or the years on them. So we'll be talking about this in our budget talks for sure, but it's really important that we be able to order 2 to 3 buses a year and have it in the budget so that when they come in next year, the money's there. And then the following year, the same thing, and the money's there. It needs to be a regular, and I know that's not easy because these buses are $125,000+ each. So that's a big ask. If you commit to 3 buses a year, you're committing to $400,000 or something to that effect. So, but I thought this would be helpful information to give you today as it's hard to believe, but in the next month, we're going to be talking budgets by departments. And I speak to my team all the time. We have operations meetings on Thursdays, and I speak to my transportation and the other departments and been really on them about thinking about budget requests. What do we really need? And how can we get better? So I thought that would be helpful for you to see in transportation. A couple more facts about transportation. You're going to notice some banners around the county. They arrived today, and they're large and they're going to be visible in front of Shenandoah Elementary, in front of Page County High School, here on this end as well in the Luray area. We are really going to start a push for substitutes and drivers. We've got some other creative ideas that are in the works that I'll share with you at a later date. But we need help in transportation and drivers, and we've got fantastic trainers. We had one of our employees just put together a wonderful training manual, digital manual, videos. It really is a turnkey. If you want to come and get trained and pass the CDL test, we're equipped to get people through. We really are. We've got some good training materials hot off the press. And we've got some ideas that we're going to be working with the athletic directors on to try and assist us in some of the evening trips. We've been finding ourselves having to do double runs at the end of the school day because availability. It's hard to get kids home from school and sports teams to athletics by 5 o'clock unless you have a deep pool. And so we're working on that. I just wanted to share that with you as well. And the last thing on transportation, I thought you would enjoy seeing this. Our ladies, Diana Fairbanks, Pam Hall, and Marina Comer, have been really working hard on culture. And this is just an example. The middle one, a beautiful electronic sympathy notice went out just this week to one of our drivers that lost a loved one. And I just thought it was wonderful. And all of the whole transportation team was on this message. So everybody knew that one of our employees was hurt and had lost a family member. The right one there, you can see that was a thank you note that went out when one particular afternoon, we had to pull some strings to get our buses all in the Luray Springfield area, again, with a lot going on. And then they're already starting to think about holidays and seasonal things. So when I realized they were doing that, I thought, I'm going to share that because that's a positive. I want you all to know what's coming out of our transportation office. Before I go on, are there any questions regarding transportation?
If you go back another slide or two slides. Yeah, right there. So 21, 23, 5 purchase, is that the PO being let or is that when we receive the buses?
Oh, that's a great question. That's when we received it.
When you receive them, yeah, okay. Because we've been talking about it since I've been on the board since 19. And it kind of surprises me to see that we're one of the lower ones after we've talked about it all this time. You know, with lower year periods.
A lot happens as you get to the end of the school year and what available funds do you have and what are the needs? And that's the reality. Yeah. And that's where it's better to have a line that is consistent and renewed every year. And then it becomes kind of like paying your electric bill. You know you're going to do it.
Have you had that conversation with Amity and those folks at the county office?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. I think every chance we get, we bring up the, you know, the.
Well, how would they rather see it? I know I've heard so many things,
Yeah.
right? We had a deal, whatever money we carry over, we get to use. We found that not to be true. We have to ask back for it, and sometimes we get it. We don't get all of it. Then I've heard, well, I don't understand why you don't have a CIP in your budget, right? So which way do they want us to do it?
Right. Well, CIP has to be funded, so that typically doesn't come out of state funding, that comes out of local.
Local, yep.
You might remember we even invited the supervisors to get on a bus.
Yes,
and talk
absolutely.
about this very issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking now, they know what the needs are. We're showing what the needs are. What way do they want us to move forward with it?
Well, we'll ask them because Dr. Johnson's in the final stages of the work on the facility study, if you recall. And part of that is the development of a CIP. So we'll share that with you first, get your recommendations, questions, suggestions, and then the next step is we'll go meet with the Board of Supervisors and we'll lay out what we've put on there. And we know for sure there'll be 2 things for sure. One will be transportation, one will be technology refurbishment. Because just like you got to have buses, all these devices have to be replaced and they can't be replaced in 1 year. Nobody can afford to do that. So Mr. Samples and his team are working on that plan in terms of how do we lay that out over the next 5-10 years so that we can make sure we sustain ourselves with technology. So same idea with buses. What's the plan? How do we lay it out? If we say we need 3 to 5, they have to know what the cost is with that. And are they willing to support us in that with local funding? You know, they've asked us to pull as many as we can from grants. We've done that. Some of these buses that you see in 21, 23 were bought with ESSER funds or CARE funds, but those are going away.
1 or 2.
1 or 2, yeah. The others we try to, squeak out of any end of year funds or things like that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was one out of the CIP plan from 2021, right?
Yeah, the first. And we were able to also buy those vehicles.
Yeah.
Cars as well as.
So we're looking at ESSER 3 right now. We're coming down by next, June. We've got to have September, have all that money spent. We're looking to see if we can include more buses in there. We did get one out of ESSER 2 recently, you guys approved. That was the special ed bus. So we're going to do the same thing with our ESSER 3 funding as that comes down to the last use of those funds.
I would try to work that slide or some version of that slide into every meeting you have.
And that was a question I had too. So in those years, the 2000 kind of up to 2010, when we did have those higher purchases, were we getting more of that local funding? Do we have the CIP? I mean,
To take a deeper dive, I was here for some of that, although not overseeing it, but in the meetings.
Right.
I can remember there were some years we were on lease programs. There were some years we were buying. It was a little bit of whatever to get buses into the county.
right. It's more of a movement. That, pun
And I would
intended.
say in that time period too, you were seeing more state funding coming to schools for things like transportation and school construction. In 2008, 2009, all of that went away with the, the recession then. That disappeared. So likely the 10 through 16 is sort of last remnants of that money and funding.
And the dream to get an electric bus for Luray route would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Just maybe it's,
Have not lost-
think of me.
Have not
Yeah.
lost. Yeah.
We'll name it the Rolf Gubler bus.
Because I think it's important, because I think it was Mr. Guzzi said that we're getting through, I guess, the loan payments for the schools that we did for the high schools. And that really we should start looking at a strategic plan on what are we going to do? We're going to replace a school, or what are we going to do moving forward? I think this plan you got coming together, I mean, it's going to dovetail well, but those conversations probably need to be had almost every time we're talking.
I think you'll enjoy when you see that CIP plan that we're working through. It's a wonderful snapshot of the entire division, building by building, piece by piece. And then when we add the transportation pieces on to that, it's going to be really, really clear what the ask is, what the need is. Yeah. If we go on to human resources, this is just an update. Mr. Bell, myself, and Mrs. Seeley, who does our benefits, we're pretty excited. October 8th, there's a Region 4 Human Resources Summit. It's the first one of its kind. And we're heading to Manassas. All of the Region 4 human resource teams are going to be participating and/or involved. And I've got October 8th.
Yeah, is it November? Is it November?
It's the 18th, isn't it? It's the 18th. I left the one out. I heard y'all whispering. Just some topics. I just pulled a couple of topics there.
It's good to know you're human too.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So we're excited about that. You can kind of see a lot of HR topics, and just to stay sharp and to stay focused on the network with our peers is really good. As well, Mr. Bell and I we talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago, the Shenandoah Valley Recruitment Fair planned for February 17th. That is our big event for staffing. We historically connect with the highest percentage of that fair. So we're very excited about that. We have other fairs we go to as well, but that's our big one. I would just share, and this is hot off the press, but I thought it would be good to share with you. You remember that between the safety grants and the school construction money, one of our large initiatives are the automated locks to get into the schools, and the staff's been able to take an ID and scan and reduce the key use significantly. And so that's underway, and I say that guardedly. What I mean by underway, the students might be able to tell you at Page or Luray, maybe not. I saw it at Page Middle last week. There's cable been run. If you go into the schools, you're going to see guys on ladders running cable through the tiles. Lots of cable. For example, the one I saw the other day was from the office at Page Middle all the way down the back hallway to the back door. I mean, that's a long stretch of cable, but that's the work that is underway to set the infrastructure for these locks to work. That's underway. The installer that we're working with told us that they're in the process of building the electronic boxes, much higher than my pay grade to be able to explain what that means, but they're building them, and the servers are underway, and the panic bars and the door hardware has all been ordered. So this project is well underway. A lot of planning and preparation that's going to go into this. We have the ID cards, so just blank at this point. We want to get uniform photos, not uniform as in physical uniform, but as in similar school to school, so they look professional. And every employee will be wearing an ID card with a professional appearance photo that will have the barcode on it, so the locks will work. We have to split our employees into groups. For example, our coaches that sometimes don't get back to school till 11, 12, sometimes even later, they'll be split into a group so those locks will work at midnight. Are there teachers who maybe don't need to be in the building past 7 p.m.? They'll be in a group. So a lot of that work to be done. And then we need policy. What's the policy? What do you adhere to? What would be a violation of use of such card? And sign off. How do we know who's got what? What do we do if somebody leaves us suddenly? Who turns the account off? So we're working on all of that. The timeline, we're hoping that this project will be completed by this coming spring, so this school year, probably February or March. Weather could impact that, or the delivery of equipment. And then the order, as I said, cabling is underway now, but once we have everything in place, we anticipate that the elementary schools will be the first to have the functional locks, followed by the middle, and then followed by the high. And remind you that the high schools have automated locks already, not as many as they will, but they're the originals, 14-year-old systems, so they're going to be replaced with these new systems. So, we're very encouraged. Some people have really worked hard on this project, and it's moving. We're really pleased about that. That's all.
After the October 18th summit, when you do the next presentation, can you present some of your biggest takeaways for that?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Ms. Ryman, instructional update?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, board members. So last time we met, you'll recall Dr. Painter even specifically asked, she was curious to know about the all-in plans. And we said, well, we're getting to that. And we were going to share some with you this evening. So I'm going to give you a brief overview this evening of that because there's a lot of detail to it. I'm going to do my best to try to summarize to get that to you, okay? So about mid-September, after the release of accreditation scores and such, Governor Youngkin announced his what's called the all-in plan, Virginia. And there's multiple components to that, which I'll share. But the biggest piece that you might hear about the most frequently is the all-in tutoring. And this information is posted on the Virginia Department of Education website. And the idea behind all-in tutoring is it's designed to support our students who failed last year's SOL test in reading and math, which we typically do anyway, right? Because we know we want to help get those students up to grade level and their skill sets where we want them to be. But also those that are demonstrated a risk of failing. So perhaps students who passed, but pass within a margin that shows, they might still need some extra support to be successful. So all in is aptly named because the intent behind this is that it takes a village, right? And the governor's call to communities is that this is just not on schools and teachers and educators to help with this, but this is, the work of parents and guardians and community members and volunteers and many retired teachers, the folks that we've been calling on for some time to help us with be mentors and other capacity. So the total all-in initiative, we could go to the next slide, please. It's really a three-prong approach. Again, this tutoring piece is kind of taking the forefront right now because that's the first press, if you will, to get this in place and make some plans. So the General Assembly released funding to divisions, and that funding has been recommended to be used at this ratio, where 70% of it over a period of time is to support this high-intensity tutoring, 20% to go towards the Virginia Literacy Act, and then another 10% to support chronic absenteeism. Divisions have a significant amount of flexibility in how we choose to use those funds. It may be like for tutoring. Again, it could be paying teachers for their time to do this after school. It could be transportation needs that are going to come with that because that's more students to get home. It could be instructional materials in order to do this to the degree that we would like to. So we have a lot of flexibility there, and we're in the course of checking things out about how we want to implement this across the division and go from there. The funding can be utilized over a period of years with local permission to roll over the funds that are allowed. They're being provided to us. Okay, so that'll remain a topic of conversation. All right, so here's kind of the skinny on the all-in tutoring initiative, okay? The school divisions are to use this information. There's what's called a high-intensity tutoring playbook, right? And Dr. Coons, the Virginia State Superintendent, has said multiple times in a variety of venues in which we've been able to engage with her other staff with the DOE, that all of this has some flexibility because every division is different, every school is different, and the way they need to go about implementing is specific, different needs. So, but what the high intensity tutoring playbook indicates and recommends is 3 to 5 hours per week for students, again, depending upon their need. Maybe I didn't pass my math SOL last year, so I need a lot more. but Miss Sechrist did, but maybe by a short margin. And we know we need to give her a little extra to help get her up to speed. So again, flexibility. So what we're looking at is existing structures within the day. The playbook gives some examples. You could do before school, after school, any variety of combinations, and suggests 18 weeks of this for at-risk students, those that pass but are just above, and 36 weeks for those that weren't proficient. Now, keep in mind, it's October 12th. And as in planning this, that means this runs the gamut of the school year. We can also use this funding into summer to help support our summer programs. So that's a positive thing. But this is not, and we've known this, right? Coming out of COVID, we know there's some deficiencies. There's things we need to work on. That ship's not going to turn around overnight. So this is to help support that and keep taking steps forward. Ideally, the playbook calls for a 10-to-1 student to tutor ratio. Again, that's a significant number of people when you think about the amount of students that we're trying to serve. And again, that's ideal. The sessions are intended to utilize grade level materials so that during that tutoring, we're not going several years back because there's intervention, which is appropriate, but this is, I'm an 8th grader. I need to be prepared to handle 8th grade content. So what does this tutoring look like to support me at that level? And obviously we want trained and supported tutors. It's about building relationships and progress monitoring. So those are the guiding principles, and in the words of Dr. Coons, I think our governor, our North Star to help guide us. Okay. So what are we looking at? How are we working to plan for this in PCPS? So what's happening now is our principals were briefed at their monthly principals meeting last week. They were introduced to this. They were shared these same tenets and principles that you were, and we've asked them to engage with their school leadership teams, which they're doing that. I'm already starting to get some feedback. They're doing that by the end of the day tomorrow. Options that we're talking about, like I alluded to, is looking at our daily schedules. Where do we already have time built in? Often that's in intervention enrichment type time, RTI, different names, but kind of the same idea, that we can adapt to meet the needs here and still provide the best for our students. We're looking at before and after school, willing to talk about it. Nothing's off the table, right? We talked about working with our existing CCLC programs. Ms. Gordon and I talked about that recently, and because they have their requirements too, right? So we have to plan all that very carefully. And then again, the food service and transportation impact, which we can't deny. If students are staying after school, we want to be able to serve and provide that for them. In addition to those SOL scores, as we all know, it's very important not to have one data point in one moment in time to make a decision about where a child's academic progress is. So we know we need to look at multiple data points, which we have to use and help guide us in that to help us know exactly who and what is needed. And then lastly, we have to, the reality is considering student and staff current commitments. If we do after school, these students shared with us all the great things that are happening, most of which are after school. We may have students who can't attend tutoring at that time. So how are we still going to get them the support that they need? And speaking of that, since them being high school students made me think about it, while the main priority here is grades 3 through 8, we know that there's still some students who maybe need algebra support or English support. We do want to extend this and involve the high schools in it as well. So that's where we are. We hope to have a plan laid out relatively soon. There's really not a hard due date in terms of when those plans are due to the state. There's been some dates floated around, but the most recent FAQ information that came out today is that there's flexibility because we know divisions need to take time and plan this well, maybe start slow to build up, and we'll see where it goes. But that's in essence what all in is. And, where we are with it. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Seems really interesting, and I hope that it, with all that's going into it, and I hope that it really does make the difference that it looks like it can make.
You did mention summer school, right?
I did, that the funding could be used towards that, yes.
Could be used towards that.
Which is helpful because we had previously the, was it the summer learning grant? Is that the one that we had with, and with the robust program we had last year, we exhausted that. So this will help us a little bit again this year.
And with that, if a student is at risk or maybe they didn't pass, If they do the summer school work and pass, that means they pass, right?
It means that that's kind of looked at on a case-by-case basis, right? So again, depends on a lot of different factors. At the end of the year, any students that are at risk of being retained, if it's, high school's a little different because it's course by course, right? But our principals and teachers look at that. They make a plan for that student. It may be some summer school with a, okay, if you can reach XYZ, then we'll be okay. And, just being flexible with that. Mhm.
I
Good
support
question.
that. I think that's
Yeah.
a great thing.
Any other question?
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Fox?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So short update for you tonight as well, but I just want to start by saying thank you to Sebastian and Izzy. One, for making us smile and reminding us why we're here and what we do. So I appreciate that, and I know our staff do too. So thank you to you guys for the effort and the time you put into getting your presentations ready. We appreciate that. So with respect to enrollment, we're holding steady at plus 66. So again, a good thing for us. And just again, a reminder, I'll say to you every time, we went a little conservative, but we're glad we went conservative. And so that plus 66 is a good thing. As has already been shared, I just wanted to add on a few things to the information that was shared tonight about bully prevention, and just the importance of reporting information and how critical that is, because oftentimes we'll talk to parents or to kids and they'll say, but this has been going on forever. It's been happening all the time. And we'll say to them, have you told anybody? Did you tell anybody? And they'll say no, because I didn't think anybody would do anything. And I want parents and kids to hear us clearly that if you tell us we're going to do something, administrators are going to look into it. They're going to try to solve the problem and work with you. So I just want to share, there's a variety of ways that information can be reported. And whether that's someone just being mean, using inappropriate language, whether it's bullying behavior, saying or doing inappropriate things, threatening themselves or others, students and parents can either tell a trusted adult, and that could be anyone in the school division. You can tell your bus driver, and your bus driver knows who they need to contact with that information. You can tell your counselor, a custodian, you can tell a parent, a guardian, a relative, talk to an instructional aide, your librarians, anyone in the school building is there to support you, as well as those folks like coaches and bus drivers who see kids outside of the school building. Can use the Stop It app that we've talked about. Again, that's new, and we're just glad to see it being used. And we hope that that will continue. We'll give you an update next month on numbers and usage. They can send an email to a teacher, to an administrator, to any one of these staff members, to me, to you guys, and we'll make sure that that information gets in the right hands. And then they can always call or visit the school as well. So lots of ways to report that information. And I wanted to share this. At the beginning of the year, we sent out in our beginning of school, each day we sent out different information. And this was on one of when we talked about bullying, we presented the information about the new code and the requirements for 24 hours, but we also told and talked about the difference between telling and tattling. Because unfortunately, we hear a lot of this, well, I'm not a snitch, right? And kids will say, I'm not a snitch. And we try to really tell kids there's a difference between being a snitch and reporting. And so reporting is when you're telling someone to get help. You know, tattling or snitching is when you're trying to get somebody in trouble intentionally. We want kids to tell and we want kids to report. So we tried to share that difference with folks. And every opportunity I get to have that conversation with kids, I try to remind them you have a responsibility to report, not only for yourself, but to help keep your school community safe. So please, we encourage them to report information. And just a quick reminder about the Stop It app. They've already discussed it tonight. But I do want to remind everybody about that integrated crisis text line. That's a critical piece. So if someone, at 1 a.m. is in crisis, they have somewhere they can go and talk with a trained professional. And then we are alerted if needed, or if they need, they'll alert the police in the local area. So we encourage people to use that. And then lastly, just a couple of upcoming calendar events as reminders. Next Wednesday is our second 2-hour delay day. So information has gone out to families in grades pre-K through 6. If they need morning support or help, we have that available. We'll be doing that at our elementary schools. The first is a student holiday teacher workday, and then November 7th is our first time this year We do it twice a year, the parent-teacher conference day. So this is an opportunity for parents to get one-on-one time with their child's teacher. So we encourage parents to pay attention. That information's coming up from the school level, and they can sign up for those conferences with teachers. Any questions?
A question on that. So the last one that we had, the 2 hour,
Yeah.
in the work. I mentioned Lower Ridge with the HVAC program, and they have a different schedule than what we do. Has anyone talked to them about how we're going to handle the next?
Yeah, we
session?
provide transportation. Ms. Ryman works, because we have like the governor's school kids who go out of district. So we work and we provide any transportation that's needed.
And who would the student need to talk to?
Their principal should be able to tell them that they know that it's on, they're running on their typical schedule.
Right, typical
Right,
schedule.
yeah.
The bus is going to come by their house and pick them up.
Yes.
Well, it may be a bus or it may be a car or van, depending on how many kids. If it's only 1 or 2 kids that we need to pick up, we'll send a car or a van. And I would say if, anyone can certainly email any one of us and we'll make sure that request or need is addressed.
I have just a quick question about the Stop It app, especially the crisis text line. Is that something that is specific to our student body population? Okay.
So you have to get the app to work, you get the QR code. So each of the buildings have the QR codes. And then that links you to Page County where we've paid for all of, through the grant funds. This is through the community schools grant. So they can access it that way.
Okay.
And I would say a parent can walk into a building and put this on their phone as well. Parents can use it and send us, if they hear a conversation with a group of kids and there's a threatening situation, they can use it as well. They need the hotline, it's available. It doesn't ask you, are you a student or a parent? It doesn't do any of that.
So even specifically, let's say it's the evening and a child is in crisis, the parent can use that to get support. Oh, that's great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ms. Seacrest, approval of claims for payment.
Yes, good evening again, board members. You have the claim certification where the operating fund is $79,748.12. I think so. Excuse me. Capital improvement.
And money's tough.
25,444. Yeah. Hold on a second. $25,444.46. Food service fund, $57,248.46. Total expenditures, $362,441.04. We also have the list of claims to go along with that, as well as the check registers. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the claims for payment as presented.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Painter and a second by Mr. Kugler to approve the claims for payment as presented.
Mr. Bugler?
Yes.
Ms. Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Seacrest, purchase orders over 10,000.
Yes, we have one purchase order this evening for your approval, and it does go along with some information that Dr. Johnson just presented to you all on the door access. This is a change order PO for 6 locations in the original PO for some additional things that were needed in getting these access set up. So it is to Valley Automation for $35,968. It does use the state construction CIP funds.
Is that the entire bill for all?
It's an addition.
That is the entire change order for all 6 of those locations. Yes.
I make a motion.
I have, if you'd like to look at the packet out, that, because again, this is not my expertise, but I did bring it all, if anybody would like to see it.
I make a motion, we approve the purchase order over $10,000.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Alger and a second by Mr. Painter to approve the purchase order as 10,000.
Ms. Bowser?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Bugler?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes. Thank you. Board member discussion.
You want to go first? So a couple of things. I was able to, just by the stroke of chance, attend the pep rally at Leroy High School, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. It was so creative and innovative. I wish I had pep rallies like that when I was in school. So yeah, just kudos to everyone that went into planning that and organizing it. I couldn't stop laughing the whole time, and how into it the teachers got as well. If they were not letting it up on the kids, they went all in. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed the presentation tonight on the bullying and looking at that, because I think it is something we really do have to look at, not just as a school system, but as a community. I did a presentation this morning, and you know, how we are treating each other as adults is also reflected with our youth. And especially we talk about social media, you know, it is huge, and our kids learn by our model and by our example. And so just being mindful to the community of, if we want our kids to stop bullying, if we want to, the real prevention is we have to stop doing it ourselves. So just, you know, remembering that. I want to send condolences and prayers and just, you know, support to Wayne Colmer's family. You know, I've heard amazing stories about his influence in Page County and with our school system and with our athletes. My family is even telling me stories. So just condolences with them. And I'm going to speak on the mentor program, but I feel like Mr. Painter's going to do that. So I'm just going to let him do that.
Well, we'll start there. The mentorship program was great training this morning. Kudos to all those involved with it. Very good, very informative. Taylor did a great job as well. We have a lot of, as people's names and who I've met, a very good group. Some people are retired from the school system wanting to come back and help. I've got folks from Northern Virginia that's moved into the area that wants to help. I think that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. True north. True north for a school system should be the students. My personal feelings about something should not get in the way of the students' learning. My personal wants and desires for the school should never get in the way of students' learning. And I've apologized to Dr. Fox before, and I'll do it again. I'm sorry you had to deal with so much nonsense that we're not focused on totally on the children and how they learn and getting them to be good adults and good citizens. It's sad, but we're going to soldier through it because we have to. But the true north is the children. Everybody needs to understand that. Victims. Talked about victimhood a little bit this morning. Talked about it here today. You cannot be silent while you're being bullied, because you will soon become a victim of the bullying of that person. And the only way you can stop it is being able to use your voice. That your voice matters is what the comment was. And it's important that when you bear witness to something, even if it doesn't turn out your way, if you stood up for yourself and you bear witness, you win for yourself. And it's important to do in this day and time. Taylor mentioned, I'm going to quote Taylor, I'm going to keep this quote as well. Patterns that are created. She was talking about trauma and all those things. You can create a new pattern tomorrow. You can create it right now. And it's time to really start recreating yourself, recreating these patterns, positive patterns. That's what my message would be to the school and to the students, and then also to the adults. We also had a training today on human trafficking, a seminar on that down at the rec. That was one of the folks that talked was a very successful. The person actually ran for the House of Delegates and lost by a little more than 300 votes. She's working for the AG right now, and she was trafficked herself. And she talked about how all that happens. And my mention to them was the schools have them for 7 hours, then they got to go home, right? There's all kinds of other influences. And Sheriff Cubbage was there as well. And we don't understand what young folks have to put up with in family structures sometimes. And I think the message needs to really go out, because one of the comments were, I wish there were more people here. This room ought to be filled. Well, it's a stigma around it, just like the recovery walk. Then we say the same thing. I wish the place was filled. Well, maybe next year we'll have another 30 people there. We've got to start talking about these tough, hard, ugly things before it gets better. We need to let our students know that if you're being touched in a way that you're not supposed to, you need to have your voice and speak up about it. And one of the ladies, what did she say today? I just kept pushing it down. I kept pushing it down. That's a dangerous thing when you push something down inside of it. I'm not saying blow up at everybody. I'm just saying you got to talk about it in a way and get some help that you need. So know this, staff, teachers, what you do for 7 hours may be the difference between someone surviving and learning how to live. What you're doing is great. Keep it up. Know that you make a difference. And maybe you might be the only difference that's being made in that child's life, but it's important to do that. That's why students need to be the true north for us. Thank you.
I just wanted to echo what Taylor said. I wanted to extend my sympathies to Wayne Comer's family and note that he played an important role in our community and in our school system.
I'd like to extend our condolences, definitely from our family. He had a huge impact on our family personally, and an impact in Page County with so many young men and women between his work on the baseball field and in the classroom substituting. And also keeping our thoughts, Dr. Painter's family, as she lost her grandmother, so that's why she's not with us. Make a motion when you adjourn.
Second.
To the motion by Ms. Albert and a second by Mr. Painter. Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Yes.